Are your people working hard but not reaching their full potential? The problem is not effort, it is development. At the Modern Observer Group, we transform workforce development into real performance. Our human-centered achievement programs help your team think better, communicate stronger, and execute at a higher level. That means higher employee engagement, stronger leadership, and measurable results across your organization. If you want a workforce that performs, leads, and delivers, it is time to invest in your people. Visit modernobserver.com and discover how the Modern Observer Group helps you build a workforce that wins.
Iran and Ukraine wars collide, new tariffs imposed, U.S. measles outbreak skyrocket, and more. Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin, and here's the news you need to know. A massive heat dome parked over the central U.S. this weekend, putting roughly 80 million people under heat advisories from Dallas to North Dakota, with dangerous temperatures expected to last through the week. It looks like it is going to be pretty much stationary, a National Weather Service meteorologist said. Worse, overnight lows won't drop enough to offer much relief, with high humidity intensifying the situation. Forecasts called for 108 degrees in western Nebraska and near record highs around 114 in Las Vegas, while even normally mild stretches of Montana and Wyoming are expected to top 100. The worst of the heat shifts towards Texas and the Gulf Coast by Wednesday. The Mid-Atlantic, Northeast, and Pacific Northwest should be spared. On Saturday, Ukrainian President Zelensky said his country's military achieved very strong results with long-range strikes in the Caspian Sea, hitting vessels used in military cargo shipments involving Iran, as well as a warship. Iran said the attacks killed one sailor and left others injured. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi warned on X that Ukraine's attacks cannot go unanswered. Also on Saturday, Zelensky said he would share evidence with the U.S. that Russia was sharing its satellite intelligence of U.S. military bases with Iran. Earlier in the week, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said there's definitely adversary alignment regarding Iran and Russia. President Trump said he was weighing a massive attack on Iran that would be bigger than ever before in the wake of Iran bombing military bases in Jordan. The threat came as the U.S. completed a 13th straight night of strikes on Iranian military targets following Houthi terrorist strikes on 2 Saudi oil tankers in the Red Sea. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, speaking at an Asian security conference in the Philippines, said Trump's policy towards Tehran amounts to a head for an eye, and that Iran will pay a very heavy price for the things they're doing. Strikes paused following the comments. Meanwhile, the U.S. and U.K. are planning a conference in London this week on protecting shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi rebels said Saturday that they fired missiles and drones at Saudi Arabia in response to Saudi airstrikes on the strategic Red Sea city of Hodeidah, in an escalation over vital shipping routes in the Middle East, while the United States and Iran vie for control of the Strait of Hormuz. Brigadier General Yahya Saree, the Houthis' military spokesperson, said in a pre-recorded statement that the attack targeted facilities in the Red Sea cities of Yanbu and Jazan that belong to Aramco, the world's largest oil company. Saudi Arabia's civil defense said alerts sounded multiple times early Saturday in both cities, but the kingdom didn't comment further. The Trump administration imposed new tariffs just after midnight Eastern Time Friday on dozens of countries over alleged forced labor violations, according to a notice in the Federal Register. The duties, set between 10% and 12.5%, will effectively replace President Donald Trump's temporary 10% global tariffs, which expired at the same time as the new ones take effect. The tariffs will apply to 60 trade partners and cover 99.4% of U.S. trade, the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative said in a fact sheet Thursday afternoon. There has been no estimate on how much revenue the new tariffs will generate. The move is the most sweeping international labor rights action the United States has ever taken, that any country has ever taken, a senior Trump administration official told reporters in a call Thursday. President Trump said on Thursday that a new nuclear energy deal with Saudi Arabia will require the Arab kingdom to normalize relations with Israel. That marked a turn a day after the administration announced the signing of the agreement without mentioning that precondition. Trump said in an online post that the deal will be approved, but is totally subject to Saudi Arabia joining the very respected and successful Abraham Accords. The U.S. brokered Abraham Accords beginning in Trump's first term in 2020, normalized relations between Israel and a series of countries, including Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates. The International Criminal Court prosecutor, whose arrest warrant against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu became central to New York Mayor Zohran Mamdani's threat to arrest the Israeli leader, was dismissed Friday after member states voted to remove him over sexual misconduct allegations. Karim Khan, the ICC's chief prosecutor, was removed after a vote by the Assembly of States Parties, the court's 125-member governing body, following disciplinary proceedings tied to allegations involving a junior female staffer in his office. Khan has denied wrongdoing. The decision marked the first time in the ICC's history that a sitting chief prosecutor has been removed from office. Khan's removal comes days after Secretary of State Marco Rubio launched a U.S. campaign to dismantle the ICC, accusing the court of threatening American sovereignty. The Department of War announced Thursday that it awarded Oracle a software contract worth nearly $7 billion aimed at cutting costs and modernizing technology across the military. The agreement carries a base value of $3.31 billion over its first 5 years and could reach $6.99 billion if the government exercises an additional 5-year option, according to Oracle. The department said the contract is projected to save taxpayers at least $441 million by consolidating fragmented Oracle software purchases and licenses under a single department-wide framework. Negotiated by the U.S. Navy, the deal marks the department's first ever direct contract with Oracle, covering its on-premises software use. Federal health officials said Friday that the outbreak of the diarrhea-causing parasite cyclospora tied to shredded lettuce has now impacted Illinois, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Pennsylvania, raising the number of states involved to 9. Meanwhile, the FDA said Thursday that it was looking into a separate outbreak of unknown origin that had sickened 72 people. While the original outbreak has been connected to Mexican-grown lettuce from Taylor Farms, including some supplied to Taco Bell, state health authorities in North Carolina said parsley and cilantro may also be to blame. U.S. measles cases reached the three-decade high. This year, there have been 2,318 cases of measles in the U.S., the CDC revealed Friday, making it the worst year for measles since 1991. 2026 to date has had more cases than all of last year, which itself saw the highest number of cases in more than 30 years. Outbreaks in Utah and South Carolina accounted for about half of the 2026 totals, according to the agency. In 2000, the U.S. was found to have eliminated measles following federal initiatives that encouraged vaccinations. But in recent years, vaccination numbers have dropped and outbreaks are becoming increasingly common. That's the Raw Naked Truth for July 27th, 2026. Remember to like and subscribe to the Raw Naked Truth wherever you listen to podcasts. You can catch every episode of the Raw Naked Truth Daily News Brief, as well as our sister podcast, Carnivore Radio, with news analysis and commentary, and the rest of the Xvadio podcast network at xvadio.com, the Apple Podcast app, YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, and other platforms that respect freedom of speech. We'll see you next time.